Hey y'all, hi. So I wanted to do a video about the makeup that I've worn the most in 2021, like my most worn makeup of the year. And I started collecting makeup and putting it into this box. I was just like picking the things, kind of like one or two items from each category that I feel like I've worn the most or I've been wearing the most. But I think it ended up being a mix between the things that I've worn the most over the course of the entire year and the things that I've worn the most lately. The things that I feel like are kind of like my best discoveries of 2021. I'd like to do an official video later, like closer to the new year. That's like the best of beauty of 2021, in my opinion. There might be kind of a lot of overlap between this video and that one, but I figured I would just go ahead with this one and then we'll see how things shake down later in the month. So this box contains the makeup that I feel like has just been spending the most time on my face over the course of the year, but especially over the last like 3 or 4 months. I've been getting the most mileage out of these products. I'm going to go through them and just share them with you. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love makeup. I like collecting makeup. I like having a sense of comfortable abundance, but I used to be an overspender. So I also try to cultivate a bit of a quality over quantity mindset. And on my channel, I'm always talking about striking that balance. I also like filming these kind of like close-up overhead videos. So if you like this kind of content, then you should definitely subscribe. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. Okay, so I'm doing that thing where I go in the order in which I put things on my face, starting with the base products, but starting with primers among the base products. So these are all of the like skin finishing products that I feel like I've been leaning on hard this year. And these are the two priming products that I feel like I've ended up using the most. I've reviewed a number of like illuminating base products, primers, liquid illuminators, things that I like put all over my face underneath these other products. I've reviewed a lot of that kind of thing this year. Just looking over at my vanity right now, I have the Auric Glow Lust, which I really love. And I actually should say that the new shade of Morganite is definitely going to unseat this Lisa Eldridge Elevated Glow Serum because the shade is better for me and I like the formula just as much. But if we're talking about which products have actually reached for the most over the course of the year, I've used this Lisa Eldridge Elevated Glow Serum more than I used the first shade of Morganite because both of them are too dark for me. Like the shade isn't great for either of them. And this one is like a really slippy, serum-y product and it really it does that sort of like smoothing thing on the skin. So I've ended up just using it kind of a lot up until now. Its star has risen and now has fallen in the face of the new shade of Morganite. As I was saying, looking over at my vanity, I've got the Glossier Future Dew. I've got the Danessa Myricks Illuminating Primer. I've got a bottle of the VDL Lumi Layer Primer. I even have that one from Saie Beauty that I pretty much disliked, but that I have kept around because the bottle's so pretty. There's the Chanel one. There's the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. Again, there's the Auric Glow Lust. And then there's this one from Lisa Eldridge. So this has just been the one that I've ended up reaching for the most, again, out of all of those very similar products, although I do use the other ones. You can see the shade issue in this little swatch. You can just see that it's definitely a color that my skin is not, you know what I mean? So a thick layer of this all over my skin, which is what I like to wear, it does darken my skin and then I have to work even harder to color correct my redness. So that's why it's not ideal, but the formula and the finish are both beautiful. The Wet n Wild Glass Correct, on the other hand, helps me to color correct my redness because it's green. So it actually works in the direction of what I want to be doing with my base products, and it's very luminous, and the formula is also very beautiful. So this is the one that I've used the most of all, and I know you can't tell by looking because this little container like pumps itself back up full of air as you use it up, but it's very, very light. It's almost done. So it's not as liquidy and serum-y as the Lisa Eldridge, but when you start blending it out, it does that kind of melting gel thing. And it actually ends up being just as elegant, in my opinion. You already know that we're talking about the Rose Ink Concealer in the shade LX010. This is the best match for my skin that I have ever found. And I also really like the formula. It's super pigmented, which means that it's really versatile. I use just a teeny tiny bit to get a natural skin look. There's a little smear of it right there. I think you can see how pigmented it is. It is. And you might even be able to see that it's got kind of like a satin finish, but it's got an emollience to it that makes it dewy, especially over the course of the day. I feel like it hydrates my skin, or at least it doesn't highlight my dry patches. It looks really nice even on my dry skin. And when I first put it on, the finish is perfect. And then sometimes I feel the need to powder a little bit as the day goes on, because it's almost like as the oils and waxes warm up, it gets very dewy. But I love that. I just feel like everything about it is perfect, perfectly calibrated to my preferences and what I like for my skin, which is an individual thing. I know that different people have different needs, but for me, this has turned out to be the perfect base product, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I talked about this product in a video a couple of months ago about products that surprised me. I didn't think that I was going to like it because they don't customarily powder very much. But as I was saying, I've been finding myself reaching for just a touch of powder a little bit more frequently this year. I've been defaulting to this powder, and I've actually grown to really love using it. It's like I'm not just powdering because I have to. I'm powdering because I really like my powder. I love the sort of gentle color correction, and I also love how I can kind of pick more of one color than the other if I want to. I often end up putting a little bit more of a heavy concentration of the green powder on the parts of my face that tend to be the most red. It's just really finely milled, elegant, luxurious, a pleasure to use. I use it almost every day. And then this might actually be the product in my collection. Look how dirty it is. This might actually be the product in my collection that I've used for the longest. This is the second one that I've ever owned. So this exact compact isn't the one that I've used for the longest, but I had one that I used up completely. And I'm on the way to using this one up completely. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's quite a divot in the pan, quite a dip. I think that this product, which is the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Highlighter in the shade Sahara, I think that this large size of it was discontinued, and then they re-released it in the smaller size, which is the size of the bronzers. This is also kind of grody. I don't know what's going on in my makeup drawer over there. It's much smaller, right? This is the Neo Bronzer. And I think you can still buy the Neo Highlighter in Sahara, this exact product. You spend less and you buy it in a smaller pan, which is much better. And when I use this up, I hope that it'll still be available, and I'm looking forward to purchasing it in that smaller size. So I use this as a bronzer. I like that it's slightly illuminating because it's never cakey on me. It's very, very finely milled. And if I bring it up onto my cheeks, it is quite luminous in this really soft way that I love. It's like a great multi-purpose product, but what I primarily use it for is bronzing up my neck to make my neck match my face better. For some reason, the balance of tones here, which it's supposed to be there are 3 highlighters, 3 like soft highlighting powders, the light, medium, and dark. For some reason, the balance of these 3 just works perfectly as a bronzer on my very, very pale skin, or as just something to warm up my very pale skin ever so slightly. So this is a staple product for me, and I definitely used it a lot this year. Let's talk about eyes, because frankly, I usually do my eye makeup next. When I'm doing my face, I do my base and then I do my eyes. I usually go right into my eyebrows, and this, the Refi Brow Gel, is my most used brow product, maybe not of the entire year if you were to like add up every single day, but since I discovered it, I've used it way more than anything else. I like the ease of use. You just brush it on with this little spoolie, and then if you want, you can pull the lid off and use these little tools to kind of like sculpt and shape the brows. It sets pretty fast, and it can start to pill if you continue to layer it after it sets. So it's kind of like a quick thing. Brush it in, use these tools to shape the brows, and then you're done. I like that it's convenient, and I really like that it has a super, super strong hold for laminating or just for shaping. I have very stubborn brows. So usually I use soap, but this is just a bit easier than soap because it's in a tube. So since I got it for review, I've been using it almost every day. I looked over my palettes and not a single one stood out. I mean, I have had some really exciting new palettes enter my life recently, the Gucci palette and the Pat McGrath palette. So yeah, lately, when I've ever had a day to just do whatever I want with my makeup, I've been reaching for one of these two, either the Gucci palette or the Pat McGrath palette, because they're new. I recently reviewed them and they're really exciting and they're both really special, like really, really special. But because I've been reviewing a lot of stuff lately, and also because I haven't been wearing all that much eyeshadow lately, I haven't gotten enough use out of these to claim that they're in any way my most used of the year, even though they're the most exciting new products. And none of my other palettes stood out either, even though I use the gold palette a lot. I just didn't have one that I like almost exclusively used this year. So I created this little palette of singles to represent the fact that I think that I've used single eyeshadows the majority of the time that I've done my makeup this year, my eye makeup, because I've been building so many of my own little palettes, and I've been doing it kind of like a series here on YouTube. I'll link the overhead playlist. They're all in that playlist down below so that you can watch through if you want and see all the videos that I've filmed this year where I've used my single shadows to build a custom palette. Now I have way more single shadows than this. This is just a selection kind of representing like my favorite eyeshadows of the year, color-wise and texture-wise. So it's not necessarily these exact ones, but when I think about the way that I've done my eye makeup the most this year, like what I've almost always done, I've almost always reached for my custom palette, whichever one it was at the time. Sometimes I built custom palettes into this little magnetic palette, and sometimes I built them into like a bigger one or even a smaller one. But almost inevitably this year, when I sat down to do my eyeshadow, I would go to my custom palette that I had in my magnetic palette, open it up, and then inevitably I would be drawn towards these kinds of shades. Textured, grubby, glossy, glittery, bronzy, rosy. Did I say grungy already? Grungy, murky, smoky, yucky, ucky, icky, sticky, this kind of thing. This has just been my jam all year. And I've sometimes leaned into this like bright, almost coppery gold version of this color story. And I've sometimes leaned more into the rose, like that, this like, I don't know, it's not even rose. It's like a putty color, like a putty rose. But very, very often it's been this kind of thing. It's just been like a grungy bronze. The bronze that is almost like on the olive side of the spectrum of bronze, like the opposite of copper. And also these sorts of raisin-colored mauves, taupey mauves. There have also been a lot of days where I've put like this shade all over my lid, something that's just a tiny touch darker than my skin, barely there, kind of like the Terry Barber. It wasn't at the beginning of this year that I was into that Terry Barber style look. I've been doing that a lot with this kind of color as the year has progressed. So this is just a representation. It's filling the spot of eyeshadow in this video because I've been leaning on like an ever rotating palette of singles that I've built myself, mostly to dupe the vibes of palettes that I'm interested in wearing, but that I don't want to buy. That's really what has led me down this path so much this year. And then this is a new discovery. I actually feel like this definitely belongs in like the video about the best discoveries of 2022 rather than the most worn makeup, because I've only had this for like a month and a half or something. But I'm so impressed by it. It's the e.l.f. Big Mood Mascara, and it's by far my favorite drugstore mascara of all time, and also one of my favorite mascaras of all time. It's just so good. I mean, you can see just from the brush exactly what it would do. It does exactly what it looks like it would do. And the formula is really thick. You can get like a spidery, gunky lash if you want that, but you can also just get that kind of like instant volume, like instant length and volume that you get from, some cult classic mascaras that have wands that are shaped like this and really good formulas. It's just like this kind of thing that I feel like you've always had to spend a little more and get like a slightly more high-end mascara to get this level of pumped up lash. I feel like it's finally come to the drugstore in the shape of this e.l.f. mascara. Right now, I feel like it's my most worn, but that's just because I haven't really put it down since it's come into my life. Cheeks. This is by far my biggest category. It makes sense that this would be my biggest category because it's pretty much still my favorite part of makeup. I think that that's the case. It's my favorite part of makeup. And this is a mix. Some of these are products that I've been wearing really a lot all year that I've been going hard with. I think probably this is the one that's most authentically like a most worn of the year, because this is the only one here that I actually owned at the beginning of the year. Like I've had this for a couple of years. This is the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Bronzer in the shade Sunrise Light. And I like it for all the same reasons that I like the finely milled powder that I use on my neck for bronzing, the Neo Highlighter. The powder is just so fine, so it has a very beautiful finish. And the color of this is particularly lovely for a bronzer for someone who's very fair like me because it's so red. I think of it as kind of a blush, but it is kind of like a bronzy blush, the blush of like the warmth of sun. When I get sun, I don't become bronze. I don't get like a bronze cast to my face. I get red in this exact way. So I just think it's a very beautifully balanced bronzer for fair skin. I also like it because it has this lovely luminosity to it. It's lighter on this side and also more luminous. It's a little bit darker on this side and a little bit less luminous. You know, mixing them together, I end up getting a quite luminous cheek, or if I want to just be a little more serious and have it be a little more of a sculpting moment, I just stay on this side. So it's versatile in that way as well. I feel like I almost never use powder cheek products anymore, but when I do, I almost always use this one. The Glossier Cloud Paint in Puff is the product that I've had, I think, the second longest. I think I acquired this year. I've been wearing it a lot. It really surprised me. I think part of why it's in this video is that it surprised me that I like it so much because it's like just a pink. It's quite a blue pink, but it's pretty natural on me, much more natural than I was expecting it to be. It's also just a little bit more pastel and peachy. Actually, it is peachier than it looks on, like on the outside of the packaging. Yeah, I feel like this is such a soft, natural pastel pink, like almost like a white-based pink, and you can already see how it's going to blend into something very natural on my skin. Whereas when you look at the outside of it, it looks like bubblegum pink, almost like a blue pink. And I think I read somewhere that it used to be more this color, and then they maybe changed the formula or changed the color or something. And some people were upset about that, which I can easily imagine. But for me, if that's the case, the thing that they changed it into is much better for me. So I've really been liking this, even though it doesn't look like it would be this way based on, again, the external packaging, the color. I find this to be one of the easiest to wear blushes that I own, one of like the most neutral blushes that I own. So I end up defaulting to it a lot of times when I like don't know what else to put on my cheeks and I'm just grabbing for something, anything to complement the other makeup that I have on. So it's surprisingly become kind of a standby for me. Let's swatch this one next, even though it's the newest addition to my collection, because it's possibly the one that's the most similar in color to Glossier Puff. This is a Kjaer Weis blush. I love this formula. They just sent this to me. It's so beautiful. I mean, this blush formula, it's just so beautiful. This is in the shade Blossoming, I believe. Oh yeah, it's actually quite similar. It's just a touch more mauve in it, perhaps. So yeah, no wonder I've been liking it. This isn't necessarily the blush that I would have chosen from Kjaer Weis. They have a couple of other colors that are a little more intriguing to me, a little more sophisticated feeling. All of the blushes, though, are very sophisticated in the way that they balance color. I just feel like this is, you know, it is like a standby color for me, so it's been working really well. And they have some colors like Desired Glow, for example, and Precious that are just like kind of one of a kind, like really, really stunning colors. But I wanted to throw this in here because since it entered my collection, I've been using it similar to the Glossier one as a standby. Like I can't believe how many times I've worn it just since it came into my life a couple of months ago. And I've been really, really enjoying it. I think part of the reason that I've been loving it so much is that the formula is exquisite. And the formula is exquisite because it's fresh. I think because they sent this to me straight from the brand, they sent me one that was fresh. And it made me realize that some of the other Kjaer Weis blushes that I've purchased, like from third-party sellers and from brick and mortar stores over the past couple of years, might not have been fresh. Like they might have kind of been in the backups drawer or in the restock drawer in the store for even years before they got to me. And with this formula, it makes a difference if you get like a fresh one straight from Kjaer Weis as opposed to like ordering one that's not quite fresh. And when it's fresh, it's exquisite. And when I say fresh, I don't mean like you have to use it up in a month. I just mean that I think that this was probably not manufactured very long ago. So it's going to be beautiful like this for a good year or two. Whereas the ones that I got before, I think that they were manufactured like years potentially before I got them. And then they've been a little bit stiff. They don't have like the incredible melty creaminess, like cloud-like creaminess of this one. So this has been a real pleasure to me. And it's funny that we're left with these two because they have something in common too. They're both basically brown. So Lauren gave this to me, my friend Lauren, the Lauren May Beauty. I think I can actually claim that this is one of my most used products of 2022, even though I've only had it, probably since like the end of August. So September, October, November. I've been using it for 3 months. And this is what we've got, this big pan. It's partly because it's a cream product and it's just so lovely to dig into. Look at that color. I feel like this is the definition of like a rosy chocolate brown. I've always wanted that like perfect milk chocolate cheek, you know? And this basically is that. And it just has that touch of rosiness that makes it work, that makes it natural on me, as opposed to something like the Rituel de Fille Eros Inner Glow Cream Pigment, which is very cool toned brown. And I love it, but I do have to be delicate with it to make it work. This is just a lovely brown, but it always works no matter what. It's like effortless. And it's got this gorgeous like melting putty formula. And then this is an actual real bronzer that I've just been using all the time, particularly because I love the way that it looks with blush. It lights up blush, especially blushes like the ones that I have on the back of my hand right now. So it's from Persona Cosmetics and it's in the shade Dune. The formula is very creamy. When I first got it, I thought it was going to be too orange and that I wouldn't wear it on its own, but only wear it with blushes. But I've actually ended up wearing it on its own a number of times, more than I expected to. And whenever I wear this on its own on my cheeks, you guys ask me what blush I'm wearing, which is really interesting. I think it's partly because of the color, but it's also because of the finish. It leaves a really beautiful glossy finish on the cheeks. So I'm blending it into the Kjaer Weis blush here so you can see what I'm talking about, because this is what I've been doing. I've been wearing like this product underneath like a blush like this. And I feel like it brings out these beautiful, bright tones in both products to mix them together. So I've been doing that kind of cheek a lot lately. Then here's the Gucci on the side. So you can just see how much rosier it is. Oh no, what did I say? Gucci? Armani. The Armani Melting Cream Blush. You can see how much, this is more like classic HLP. My all-time favorite color for a cheek or a lip or an eye for that matter. This is like my favorite color of makeup. And then this is just like what's been new for me this year, basically. I've been like doing this kind of thing and it's unusual for me. It represents change. Let's talk about lips. This was difficult for me, and it's not because I haven't been wearing lip products. It's because I've been wearing so many of them. It's because I think I do a better job of rotating among my lip products. I tend to default to like the same blush over and over. Like this, if it catches my eye when I'm about to do a cheek, nothing else stands a chance. You know what I mean? I just love it so much. But with lip products, I feel like I have a number that I really love all equally, and I tend to pick the lip product based on what else is on my face. So I am led by the process of trying to balance out the rest of my face. I'm often like led down a different path to a specific other lip product on one day. And then the next day I'll put on my face and then I'll be like led down another path to a specific other lip product on another day. So looking over my lipsticks and my lip products, I was like, actually a lot of these have gotten sort of even use. So these are two products. I've got 3 colors of one of them here, just one of the other. These are 2 products that I've found myself wearing. I think I can claim that I've worn them more than other things especially in the past like 6 months. And it's because they are so nourishing and because they don't overwhelm my face when I'm not wearing other makeup. So they add a little something, but not too much of a something. And they're also really beautiful and elegant, and they feel good when my lips are dry. So this is a tinted lip balm. So of course it feels good when the lips are dry. I've talked about this a number of times, I feel like, in overhead videos recently. It's lovely because it is a tinted lip balm, but it looks so beautiful on the lips. It looks like really beautiful makeup. It's by Aaron's Faces. I love this color Flushed. It's like the balance of tones is really good. Sorry, that's like the least elegant swatch ever, but you can see what I'm getting at. Like this built up on the lip, it looks really, really pretty, but it's definitely not too much. It doesn't compete. It doesn't make a weird shape. It doesn't get outside the lip line. Feels very nourishing. I wear this on true no makeup days. I also wear it on no makeup days. Sometimes I even put it on like as skincare at night. So the versatility of this product has caused it to edge out some of my other lipsticks in terms of like being in the rotation more because I default to it as opposed to just picking it to complement a makeup look. And it's the same with this product. The Merit lip oil really has surprised me. I am fortunate enough to have it in 3 shades because Merit has sent me these. And it's also good because I can swatch them for you. I think the shades are actually really pretty. This is Marrakesh, Au Naturel, and Taupe. And Marrakesh was the first one. For a while, I just had it, so it's definitely the most worn. The colors look a bit rich here in the bottles, but I'll swatch them out for you and you'll see that they're actually so easy to wear. They add something really lovely, but again, without overwhelming. And again, while still being nourishing. Okay, so I swatched them here in the order in which I was holding them before. So we have Marrakesh, Au Naturel, and Taupe. And it's a toss-up between Marrakesh and Taupe for my favorite one. I've been wearing Taupe nonstop lately because it's newer to me, but Marrakesh, I have a soft spot for it because it was the one that I originally fell in love with, or the one with which I originally fell in love. Curiously, Au Naturel, which before Merit had sent me PR and I was just like looking at the brand launch, I thought Au Naturel would be like the best shade for me, but it ends up looking just a touch orange. It looks pretty natural, but just a touch orange on me. And I think that recently, because I've realized recently that I do have olive undertones. I have like very, very, very fair skin, but with neutral olive undertones. That is why I think that a lot of times the neutral shade or like the natural shade in a blush or in a lip color from a brand, it'll just look orange on me, on my cheeks, on my lips. And I'm always on this quest for like brown products, taupe products, because I'm looking for something that's neutral, that's not going to lean orange. It's like my entire history in makeup is making sense to me now that I've realized that I have olive undertones. So I can still wear Au Naturel, and it's nice to have a third one of these around because this is something that I'll just like grab and put onto my lips just when they're feeling chapped. I don't know, I'll be going through the day and I'll have not put on makeup. I'll have no reason to put on makeup, but then I'll just want to do it to like give myself a little boost. So I'll sit down and I'll just put the tiniest bit of concealer under my eyes, and then I'll put one of these on my lips, and that'll be it. And I'll feel like much more put together. This is the product that I've been using in that capacity basically since the first one, since Marrakesh came into my life. That's it, y'all. These are some of my most worn products of 2021, especially of the second half of 2021, or at least the ones that really jumped out at me when I was thinking about this video and just looking over my collection. Again, I might come back and do like a comprehensive best makeup of 2021 video later on. This was like a more casual version of that. I was just like, I kind of want to tell people, I feel like there are some things that you know about, like obviously the Rose Inc concealer. Like it's been a full-blown love affair ever since the day that I tested it. But I feel like even though I've talked about the Merit lip oils and I've told you that I like them, I haven't really told you how much more I've been wearing them than other lip products. And same with like the Kjaer Weis blush, and maybe even like actually like the Lisa Eldridge. Like there are a number of things here that I've been wearing them a little bit more than you know, and I like them a little bit more than you know. And I just wanted to put them all in a video and just kind of like talk about it. If you think I've missed anything, like if you observed me wearing something almost nonstop for a period during this year and you're like, Hannah, where was X? Then definitely let me know in the comment section down below. That's probably information that I could use for a future video. And if that is the case, if I missed something, then forgive me for not being thorough. My brain is really just Swiss cheese right now. And I wanted to bring a little discussion and demonstration of these products to you. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. And I really, really hope that you're taking extra good care of yourself today so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.